I did turn on the light so you could see me better, but it did not. Anyway, geez, trying to get this all right. So, and I left my glasses at home on purpose. Um, oh, good, it's recording. This is a different card. Wasn't sure if I had to format it or not. Yeah, I got a haircut. I got it all cut, as the old saying goes. Yeah, I needed. The weather was hot, and I didn't want to shave my head to look like, that I belong to a certain organization that does that frequently. That don't like certain people. Yeah, it's all right. Maybe it's a little dated. I just needed to it's so hot. I needed to relief, but at the same time, I just didn't want to look, I just didn't want to totally just go whatever. Have some hair on my head. I don't even gel it. I don't care. Had a panic attack yesterday. First time I've had one in years, because I'm trying to just get through this hump here, kind of one day at a time. And it's not easy. My body is definitely feel like it's like changing hormonally, just physiologically, I can't say certain words. English is not my first language. My first language was actually Polish, so I have difficulty saying certain words because I didn't learn English until I was like 6. I learned it from Sesame Street and watching Solid Gold. So sometimes there are certain words I really have to concentrate on to say, and yeah, okay, makes no difference. Anyway, just feeling different, and then it's like, I was really down yesterday because it felt like my body, here I am trying to do something positive, which is kind of almost usually the case in my life. I try to do something positive, and then it backfires for whatever reason, and it makes me crazy because, you try to do the right thing, and then this result happens that is not good. When you feel that your body is actually fighting against you, because it's kind of like grabbing at something. I denied it's something, and therefore it needs to grab at something else. It needs to grab at my limbic system and start driving me mad. Or everything just becomes kind of like pale. Right now, things feel pale. That's the truth. I still have some ideas. I was just trying to think whether or not, whether in this shape or that shape or whatever shape I was in. Or maybe if I turn the light on now, maybe you'll see me. Whatever shape I was, whatever shape I was in. I was just thinking like whether or not, like at the times, like when I don't drink and make art. I never did that. I don't like when people get. I think I mentioned this. I don't like this idea of people getting high or drunk or whatever and then making art and they think they're doing a great job. I think it's kind of dumb. I treat art as a job. Like I would never go into work drunk or high. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's kind of. I would. You get fired that way. So I feel the same way about art. But then I understand I understand using it as a lubricant between ideas. That you have this idea, that idea, you don't really know what to do, and then, you have a couple of drinks or do something, and then, then the ideas kind of like start morphing together and kind of, oils the gears, right? So I was just trying to think whether or not the ideas that I had still stick after this time. And some of them do. But now that everything kind of feels a little bit off and pale, I kind of like, I'm looking at all my stuff, all my works, I'm like, what the hell was I doing? And why? And then the habits and the whole thing's change. Funny thing is, I got an email this morning from the guy that did the audio commentary on the Lost Weekend DVD. And he has no issue talking about like all the alcoholics, I guess, in Hollywood, here and there. The alcoholics that worked on the movie. It's a movie about alcoholism. he is a recovering alcoholic, and then he's talking about how his parents were alcoholics. So the whole thing is about all these alcoholics, and then I write him talking about, like, whatever I'm talking about, right? And he writes back, and it was just like, I was like, because he felt that some of the movie, like, they didn't explain the euphoria very well in the movie. And, like, yeah, there's not a lot of euphoria in the movie. There's a lot of nightmares, but not euphoria. And we were just going back and forth about how I feel like filming euphoria is very difficult, especially when they do, like, junkie movies. It's like, a guy shoots up and he's running through a field of sunflowers. Like, that's what DiCaprio did. I'm like, okay, they always have to kind of, like, it's hard to do fantasy. It's hard to be like, because it's a personal thing. So I was talking to him about that and blah blah blah, and his trying to open up a conversation. I was surprised he wrote back. I found him online. I don't know if I think he's teaching at some sort of college in California. But so, like, I reached out to him. I'm like, just, was everyone in Hollywood an alcoholic? I mean, really? Because he's going on and on and on. I'm like, okay. So I found that interesting. The kind of, I never really spoke to, someone on a. My introduction to a person was a commentary track on a DVD, a Blu-ray. So that's kind of weird. But trying to return to normalcy, trying to, and just seeing, like, whether or not any of the ideas and projects I had were any good. Were they any good? Did I just gas myself up on BS? Because I'm like, oh yeah, I had a couple of beers. Oh, this idea is great. And then you don't know. And then I'm looking around, and I'm not really creating anything right now because I'm still kind of like standing back from the whole thing, saying, like, whether or not this is, what are the facts here? Is any of this true? Is any of it good? And whether or not I should even continue making anything, because it all feels like a lot of just stuff. And yeah, there's no shortage of art. So yeah, that's basically more or less the feeling here I'm having. Trying to, like, stay out of the. I'm not that motivated to walk around the heat for hours. To try to just get myself to sleep. I'm trying to just maintain. I'm trying to coalesce, pretty much. That's the most important thing. Is just the kind of just. You want to stay calm, but at the same time, I'm restless. My mind. This is why these things are happening, because my mind is just hungry, and it has to be fed. And I'm trying to figure out what I can feed my brain in order to make it feel better. Hence why I went to get a haircut. It's like, I guess, self-care. I guess, I haven't had a haircut in a long time. Like, I just took clippers last time to my head and called it a day. And then I started just looking like Paulie Walnuts recently, with, like, big gray wings just, like, hanging out on my freaking head. Maybe look softer and stuff. Kind of like, I know this makes me a little harder, but I can't have all the things. Like, I just look like a mad scientist, and it just isn't like a look that I want to go to. I don't know, looking like Bert from Sesame Street is great either, but at least they'll grow in, and maybe it's just I had to get a break from the heat without looking completely, like, totally ridiculous. Maybe if I put some gel in, it'll be fine. Also bought some cologne. I haven't had cologne in a long time because I want to smell good too. It's just like trying to just, like, rejoin society. It's like, ugh. And then you're like, and then you look around, and everything's very corporatized and bland and weird in itself because of the blandness of it all. So it's just like, what am I trying to re-enter to? It's like almost trying to re-enter, like, a public pool. Like, you want to cool off, but there's also, like, pee-pee everywhere. I don't know what kind of analogy that is at all, but it's that feeling of, like, ugh. So what is art, man? Then that's the whole thing. Then you want to break the monotony. You want to break what's pale. You want a shot of color. You want something to kind of stand out, and all just the boringness of it all. So that's where It is. I walked around that whole corporate mall that's like, the Brookfield and all that stuff, and their Gucci and their Fabergé and Fendi and all that other stuff, and like, oh my God. And these people, like, they don't look anything different than me. Cargo shorts, some short sneakers, and like a button-down shirt, and just like, person after person after person, guy after guy, girl after girl. Some are pushing a baby carriage, some are walking a dog, some both have both, and they're just drinking, plastic cup, coffee, milk, whatever from Starbucks, and with little tiny bags. It's just like, and thousands of these people, thousands, all clones of each other, and there just doesn't seem to be any sort of like meat into anything. And I guess that, and that's what the artist's job is, to create the meat, make it all mean something. And it's not easy. All right, I don't want this to go over. Yeah, you know how it is.